I think these capture clips by Peak Design might be one of my favorite camera accessories of all time. They don't change the image, but they make the carrying a lot more smooth and easy to handle because you don't have a strap dangling around, but you have all kinds of possibilities with these. For one, you can use them on a backpack, like here on a strap, or you can mount them on a belt and have them on your hip. Now, the one problem I always ran into with carrying gear with these was that this is really secure and all is great. However, it can, when there's a lot of weight on there, and that would be like so, if there's a lot of weight on there, it kind of tilts like this and, for example, pushes into your hip right here when you have it on a belt. And so I felt it was time for a bit of an upgrade. And thus, I got myself the Capture Clip version 3 and the Pro Pad right here. Now, one of the reasons why I had to go with the Capture Clip version 3 in addition to the Pro Pad is that the Pro Pad, or at least this new one, is no longer compatible with these Capture Clip version 2s. Now, I'm still going to use these specifically on backpacks for the most part, but for belts and for the main carrying, I think that these two here are going to be my new favorites. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck do you do with these? And for that, I think it's time for a bit of a demonstration. Now, when you're somewhere outside, you have your backpack on and you want to take a photo. Of course, you have one option, which is to sling this around, open your camera door, take out the camera, take the shot. But what if you don't have that amount of time, or you don't really want to go through the hassle, especially if your backpack's really heavy? Then, of course, one of the options would be a strap like the Peak Design Sling. However, that makes it so that the camera really dangles around a lot, and I don't really love that all too much when I'm going for a longer hike. And thus, when Peak Design actually showed these off the first time on Kickstarter, I thought this is genius. You have a Arca-Swiss compatible mount on the bottom here, which is the same size on all four sides. You have a clip on the other end, and then you can just slide that in there and you can basically carry your camera that way. Now, if we want to use this further, we can undo one of the screws right there, undo the other one as well, so that we have more distance between the two. And if you have something like a backpack, you really have to open the screws a lot. And then you can take this, put it under the backpack, screw it over or flip it over, push it close, and then screw this shut, and then alternating between. And of course, if you have a chest strap, then you can also close that and go like this. And now we have this mounted here. And with that, I can take my camera and have this mounted right here to my chest or to the strap. And the camera can now hang there and I can continue walking, have both hands free, and the camera is not really going anywhere. And it is ready to go with the press of a button right there. Now, I think these here were great and they worked really, really well. And again, you can also use this with for example, a belt. And I'm going to show you how that would be done with the new version, because now we have the version 3. And that, of course, is a bit different than the one that I was using here for the better part of the last few years. Now, the main difference you can immediately see here is the size difference. If I put these next to each other here in the palm of my hand, you can probably see the new one is significantly smaller than the previous one. However, there are actually a couple of features that are no longer present in the newer version, which were present in the old one. For one, in the Pro Capture, that was this one, you had a back plate right here, which also had a tripod screw right there. So you could actually put this onto a tripod and have this as your quick release. Now, to be honest, I never really used that because it's a really expensive quick release plate if you just want to use it for that. And it's not really smoothly even on the back either. So I'm not sure who uses it that way. I never really did because I have those quick release plates on there, which are also Arca-Swiss compatible and easy to use anyways. And the other thing that's no longer present on the new one, which was on the old one, is this second screw right there, which is basically to fix the plate a little more in the holding situation. But again, not really something that I used a whole lot, so I'm not really sad about that no longer being there. And the smaller form size is really a benefit, I would say. Now let's put the old one off to the side and focus on the new one. Here we have the silver version. It all feels like it goes a little smoother even when you undo the screws, but that of course could also be that it is because it is a completely new device. On the back you have a smooth, simple surface without any cutouts or anything like that. And you still have the mechanism so you can twist this open when you have it opened up a little bit. You have a rubbery part right there so that it is not going to slip on you. And then if we look at the back here, it is made so that it's relatively lightweight, but still incredibly sturdy. There's a tiny little hole right there, which is probably for the mechanism right there. So you can actually have this locking mechanism here, which slides in and out when you press this. And if you twist this button right there, you can no longer press it in. So you can basically prevent this from accidentally unlocking your camera. And when you want to use your camera again, you can twist it and you can again open this up. Now something to note here is that this is actually not a Arca-Swiss compatible device in all its means, which means that not all Arca-Swiss plates are going to fit into this. And that has everything to do with the fact that usually this is a generic Arca-Swiss plate. These are not square, and they also don't have the mechanism which is needed for the securing of the plate in this device. So I would say, and from what I know, the only compatible ones are the ones from Peak Design, which are kind of pricey. However, again, you do want to protect your gear, so having something that is really well made, in my opinion, is important in that regard. Now the Peak Design clips or plates look like this, and you can see these teeth right there, which are essentially there so that when you move this in there, the lock is moved out of the way on the way in, but then when it is in, it's not going to slip out again just by itself. Now I mentioned that I also got the Pro pad for the Capture Clip version 3, and this essentially is a bit of a foam board with a flap right there. And in here you have a mounting position for the capture clip. This is not a belt loop, and they made that quite obvious by describing it in here. And then you have additional padding on the back of the capture clip, which is actually something I always was missing on the version 2 right here, because again, when you have this mounted here, after a long hike, this can also kind of push into the skin or against the bones and make this uncomfortable. And this can be more prominent if you have this on your belt and it's pushing into your hip bone, especially with heavy gear. Now this Pro pad you can actually use on either your backpack strap, and you can basically put it underneath here and have additional padding that way. And you can also use this in conjunction with your belt and have a more pleasant carrying experience. Now to mount the capture clip to the Pro pad, you essentially have to take off one of the screws, and that goes through there. And with the capture clip mounted through here, you can close this off, put it over, and then you basically screw this over, and with that, you basically have this done. Now this is not yet closed fully, so I can still move this up and down, and that is because now I can take the belt and I can basically push this right through here to a position that probably is going to fit me very well. And then I can push this up a little bit and close this off so that it's not going to open or slip in any kind of way. Of course, you want to make sure that it actually is closed here with the teeth so that it's nice and shut. And now, of course, you can also do this with the belt already in your loops for additional support, but I'm just gonna demonstrate this with the belt over my clothing that off, and now you have this right here. And basically what you do is you take your camera and now you slide it into here, and you can simply just carry it like that. Now I like it a little bit behind here, and I'm gonna just take off the backpack for a moment. Now this is how it looks with this on here, and I'm gonna just have a clip show here so that you can see how it would look without the Pro pad when you carry this on a belt. And this is actually quite comfortable. I used the Walkolution for a bit of a test in terms of how it feels to walk with this, and basically if it is actually something that I can do now also with the battery grip, with the additional weight that the camera has that way, the distance to the body and everything. And I was really surprised how comfortable the Pro Pad makes this carrying situation. Now, of course, you can also mix this with, for example, something like a strap. So you can have the strap on and at the same time also have this on the camera. That would make it a little more stable, a little maybe even less weight on there, and it's even more secure. So you have kind of like this double-sided situation. It's not slinging around when you are carrying it, but you have the additional protection to know that the camera is not going anywhere. But I would actually honestly probably trust this. I have for many years used exactly this mounting situation, exactly this way of carrying my camera with a little less weight, of course. Now with the grip, it's a bit of a different situation. But overall, I just have used this a lot and I'm really happy with the products from Peak Design in this category. Now, if you want to use the Pro Pad in conjunction with your capture clip and on your backpack, to basically have the strap a little more padded, then you can do that of course as well. And I'm just gonna take this off here off the belt and just open that up, opening that, taking out the belt. And now with that, we can just take our backpack again, put it over our shoulder, maybe put the other one as well for easier installation, open the screw as much as possible, and this may not be possible to do with these screws, and there are actually some extension screws in the package of the capture clip as well. And now with this, we have it mounted like this, and I can put this behind the strap, put the strap right through there, and of course swivel this around, push this shut, and this may not be easy to do. And now with this mounted, I can again screw this shut so that it is not going anywhere. And I actually have additional padding under there so that now I probably also will not get fatigued as quickly as with just the normal clip on there. And with that, this is how it looks on the inside. There's the Pro Pad. And now I can just close this. And I have my camera here. Put this in there. And it does feel like it is a little bit lighter in terms of how it feels on the body. It's no longer the metal going directly onto the clothing. It is a padding that is in between all of that. And I think that that makes it a little easier. Now, all of this, of course, needs further testing and proper hiking so that we know, or I know, how this actually feels and if this is actually something that is helpful or not. However, one thing I can already say is I loved the capture clip and I used it pretty much on every hike whenever I wanted to bring any camera for that matter, because whether it's a smaller or a bigger camera, it's just super convenient to have your camera ready to go right here without having to get it out of your backpack, anything like that, but also without having to carry it in your hand or a strap that's just always in the way. This way, you can just undo it like this. You have it in your hand, ready to go, and then just put it in there again, and you're easy done as that. Now, if you have any questions, you can of course leave those in the comment section down below, whether it's about the version 2 or the version 3. And of course, I might also be able to update you on my experience with this, with it going to Marbella and on the hikes and travels there, bringing my gear pretty much everywhere and having a lot of carrying experience then. If you want to check out this gear, you can do so with the links in the description. If you found this video helpful, I appreciate a thumbs up. And with all that said, mount your camera on your body with ease, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.